Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mm, my approach on this. And this is Philip Tan, Pencils by Philip Tan. And Philip has been inked by many um, wonderful inkers who have done such a great job at deciphering all the little details, and we all do it our own different ways. There's more than one way. There are several different approaches to it, and we all have our own interpretation. So it is fun. I do like to see how other people do it. Like Mark Morales does a very, like, really, Mark is like spot on, real sharp, real clean. Really good inker, and uh, you know, Philip's been around a long time, and I think most of what I've seen recently has been some commissions by Mark and some by Daniel Enriquez, and but I myself have never inked Philip. This is my first time inking Philip, so it is for a charity auction. So what it was a good challenge because, like I said, I've never inked Philip, and one of the first I think one of the first qualities of being a good or decent inker is that you try to understand or figure out. This is, again, my approach. Is everyone has their different approach. This is just my just trying to figure out the penciler's language. Every penciler has their own certain style of language. I like to try to stick to that. That is of higher priority than my particular style or anything like that. I let them take the lead, and sometimes that you sometimes that can get in the way a little too much if you let it. But I try to understand it, let them take the lead, and I try to stay true to what they do and their personality. And Philip does lots of like details, and there's some things that are on here that he did not do, but I did. His was just hard black all around, and I'll tell you why I did it. So it was hard black all around, and this is just, of course, again, just my approach and my interpretation of it. And Philip is very detailed. He has, in this piece itself, has lots going on. You have lots of characters, and there, on one piece there could be a whole lot going on. So sometimes more is just too much, but there's a way of doing more that could help stage or frame something better, which is why I did a little bit of this, like, oh, it's still wet. A little bit of the soft white with the toothbrush and, flicking ink and, flicking the whites on there. And I added some more, they're Kirby crackles, but I added more whites into it just to kind of soften it. And my reasoning is to kind of frame the contents a little bit, just to kind of stage them a little bit more so they pop forward a little bit more, but not lose all this wonderful stuff that Philip did. The lightning, the energy, and all that, special effects. And you've got like all this background that's like smashed debris and speed lines and energy lines and all the cross-hatching details. So there are lots on there, and I try to make sure that everything and everyone gets a little bit of stage time so nothing gets lost, especially on a really busy piece. So that's what I try to do without like overwhelming the pencils, or without like putting on too much that everything gets lost. I try to do it in a way that everything, it has more presence or is more visible, and so when you look at it, it's not so overwhelming. So that's my approach. And one of the questions that I get is that how do you know what to do? I think there are three main things that helps with that is one, experience. You will have to try a lot of different things to see if it works or not. And experience can come from, it doesn't have to be from, published work, but it's just from sitting down and doing it. And you don't know what works and what doesn't work until you sit down and do and put it on paper. And, second is, of course, you kind of have to go with your intuition and your feel, as in, and that kind of comes from experience too. You kind of know what works and what doesn't, but also the intuition might be, hey, as in like the softening of the edges of the white that frames here. I felt like it would, would help a little bit. I felt like it would, look kind of cool. So that's, that's also intuition is like kind of the cool fun factor too. So the third thing is also very important, is if you and you should talk to the penciler, and the collaboration should be just that. They'll let you know like, hey, don't touch my stuff, don't change anything, just as is, everything that's on there stays there. Don't put anything new, don't do anything. There are pencilers who are very particular like that, but there are also pencilers who are excited to see what you would do, especially if they're familiar with your work. So with permission, if they say, go for it, go crazy, do your thing, I don't even care what you do. I would just like to see what, you have fun with a piece. So that is the best situation. So you can get a feel of what you can do or how much you can do by talking, with the pencilers. It's a partnership like any other. Good communication really goes a long way. So and Phil was great with that. And he said just go in and do whatever you feel, that you want to do, whatever you feel is right, whatever you feel it needs. Like I said, I'm like, I never change like faces or poses or anything like that. All the basics are still there. All that I do are like maybe a little more subtle. Sorry for my camera work here, but it's all like the little subtle things. Some subtle things are a little more subtle than others. But so that is my approach, and that's kind of my advice to for those who ask how they should ink a piece or approach a piece, or pencilers, what they put on the board. My number one advice is maybe talk to the penciler, see what they're looking for from you, and if they want a little bit more of like your finish on it, or for you to have fun with it, that's great. Go ahead and do that. And one of the two things will happen. They'll either really like it and you'll work together again, or they won't like it and don't really want to work with you again. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because it just kind of means that your understanding and your approach isn't going to complement their approach, and it's just it just rules it out. Say, okay, we don't work well together, not because you're bad or they're bad or you're or anything personal. It's just your styles don't mesh, because you want to be able to go into it with ease and confidence, and just to be able to do your best on a piece without having to constantly second guess. Is this line going to be okay? Is this line going to be approved? Is he going to love this or hate this? I think that makes the final product look really stiff and worked, and it loses a lot of energy if you're not, if you don't have that energy, that flow when you're working on the piece. I think that the work suffers from that. So like I said, they'll either love it, or if they don't love it, they're still in the middle too. They can say, oh, I don't love this part, but I love what you did here. So you can go back and forth. So it's not like just one piece you either nail it or you don't. Not necessarily, because again, like any other relationship, there's communication. Maybe tone down on this and, you know, maybe spike that up a little bit more. So that is my advice. And I'm keeping the camera on this wonderful piece because it's pretty awesome. Great job, Philip. Thanks, guys, for letting me contribute on this. And thank you, Scott Dunbeer. Thank you, Philip Tan. And I hope you guys like it. I hope you bid big on this one, guys. All right, so I hope that helped, and I hope that answers some of the questions that are out there. If not, watch it again. Maybe the answer is in there. Okay. Thanks, guys. Later.